Just because a teacher is teaching and giving a lecture and students are listening, it doesn't mean that learning is happening. Out of the 10 lakh government schools, give me 500 and allow us to spend two-thirds of what the government spends. And I promise we will deliver 2 times better outcomes.
India wants to be a developed nation by 2047. How do you see a typical Indian classroom by then?
If we had to create the best school in each city in India, what would that school look like? Just because a child has got marks, they are learning, it's a lie. The purpose of education is to build students into capable adults, responsible citizens, and good human beings. The same person who would spit on the road in Mumbai will go to Singapore and will not spit. I have so much for people who set up schools.
Tapan yutam poz pazin totam alam das. Welcome to the PozCast with Younus Beigh. I'm so happy that I'm sitting with Sumeet Mehta. Sumeet has been a great LinkedIn inspiration for me personally. I have been following him from last 5 years. And small world, look at the destiny that I'm sitting with him right now and recording this podcast. PozCast is a deep dive discussion where the guest speakers and the global thought leaders speak about the harsh truths about education, youth, and technology. Sumit, thank you so much for agreeing to have this discussion with me.
My pleasure, and thanks for inviting me.
Sumeet Mehta छ अख visionary education reformer, Beishim Leaders co-founder, Akui Dream Human, how to transform India's learning one school at a time. My first question is about the Indian school crisis. Since you are someone who has worked with thousands of schools across India and abroad, what do you think is the single biggest lie we tell ourselves about teaching and learning in Indian schools from Kashmir to Kanyakumari?
I think the biggest lie that we are telling is that, oh, everything is okay, Indian students are learning well, all we need is a little bit of technology, infrastructure, smart boards, and everything will be okay. But we know the truth is that Indian students are not learning well. Just because a teacher is teaching and giving a lecture and students are listening, it doesn't mean that learning is happening. That's a myth. We all know that true learning is when a child is able to express their understanding in their own words and they're able to then apply it in real life. Which, when you put Indian students to that test, either in a job interview or in real life, we all know the results.
Everybody fails.
Yeah. I call it the illusion that learning has taken place. In communications, they say that the biggest myth is in communication is that it has happened. So in classrooms also, we feel that just because a teacher has delivered a lecture and students have listened, learning has happened.
Yeah.
But we all know that's not learning.
It's not actual learning.
Learning is when a child is able to understand the concept and is able to not only explain it in their own words, but also put it into action. And that's just one line of learning, because as Mahatma Gandhi had said, the purpose of education is capable adults, responsible citizens, and good human beings. So we're just talking about capable adults part when we talk about academic scores. This illusion that learning is happening and we all think rote learning is the answer is the big problem.
So this is the biggest lie. Okay, my second question is about why do you think school owners, many with good intentions, fail to deliver relevant quality education which is required today in our educational institutions?
First, before I answer this question, I must tell you that I have so much respect for people who set up schools, because schools are like temples of learning. they are the crucibles of our future. However, the challenge is that most people believe that a good vision and a good intent is enough, and the process and the outcomes will automatically follow.
Okay.
But I have seen that there is always a big gap between intent and outcome, because a school is a complex ecosystem. And whenever there are complex ecosystems, mere intents are not enough. You need system to translate that intent into results. I call it learning systems in schools. So if you have a learning system, it ensures that the behaviors of teachers, students, and parents are automatically those,
All stakeholders.
all stakeholders, are automatically those that will result in the outcomes. Without that, how many rounds can a principal do? How many lists can an owner see? You really need a learning system, and then you can translate intent into execution.
You talk about public-private partnership, a 3P model for government schools to reform. Why do you think this is the way forward?
India has 270 million students who go to school. Half of them are going to government schools. Every year we see the ASA report, and we see how pathetic the learning levels are in government schools. I have a very simple proposition. The government spends close to 50 to 55,000 per student per year. I'm saying out of the 1 lakh, out of the 10 lakh government schools, give me 500 and allow us to spend two-thirds of what the government spends. And I promise we will deliver 2 times better outcomes. If we don't deliver, penalize us. And if we deliver, then expand this model. Because that's how we will be able to transform even public education in India.
Now, if I ask you, how are you so confident that your PPP model is definitely going to work, or it's going to improve the learning outcomes, pan India, wherever it's used?
See, because A, we have done it before. We worked with the South Delhi Municipal Corporation 8 years back, and we delivered learning, and it was a perfect A/B experiment where in one section, government teachers were teaching, in the other section, our teachers were teaching. Same segment. So you can't even say that, the background of the child actually was dependent. And in 1 year, we were able to show 2.5x better outcomes versus the other section,
All right.
and at a cost which was two-thirds. And that is why I have so much confidence that if we expand this model, it can work. We have models like Akanksha in Bombay which are doing this. So it's not like it is completely new, but we need a scalable, and large model. So that's what gives me the confidence.
Okay, in India, when it comes to education, everyone talks about marks, grades, and results. But what do you think that how Sumit defines the success in education?
See, when everybody thinks that, oh, just because a child has got marks, they are learning, it's a lie. Because marks in a badly designed exam doesn't tell you anything.
True.
Now I'm happy that CBSE is moving towards competency-based exams, which will truly test a child's learning. If you ask me how define success is based on what Mahatma Gandhi said, the purpose of education is to build students into capable adults, responsible citizens, and good human beings. Responsible citizens means social awareness. Good human being means values. Capable adult means conceptual understanding, which can help you apply your understanding into real life. If you are able to develop students who are grown in these 3 dimensions, then you've truly delivered on the purpose of education. That's success.
Well, truly, you always write these thoughts in your LinkedIn that if a student is not able to solve the problem, what kind of education that is?
True, yeah. And just answering questions in an exam is not education.
While consumer edtech is crashing, you have always said that school edtech is quietly winning. Why is this difference, and what do you mean when you say that?
Unfortunately, everyone paints edtech with the same brush. They think it's all the same, just different wrappers, right? But consumers edtech is about online education videos, and it is supplemental. A child spends 6 to 7 hours in school, right? So if there is a system that can help transform learning in school, then it can truly make impact on the whole child development through the right system, which has the right curriculum, the right pedagogy, and the right learning resources. So that's what I mean by school EdTech. And I feel that if we are able to impact the 8 hours that a child spends in school, then we can make a difference in their lives. People always think Lakshmi and Saraswati are at odds. And I feel that if you, Saraswati brings Lakshmi. If you deliver on education, money will always follow. If you chase money, then learning will not happen. So I want to break this dichotomy ke it is either or, to say कि यार if you deliver on your purpose, then there is no shame in actually generating a profit. Or
When we talk about fixing the education system, cute models versus scalable solutions, isn't it risky to bring private players and trust them with education?
I must admit there is a trust deficit because people think that making a profit in education is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I have a slightly different point of view. I don't think it is either Saraswati or Lakshmi. I think if you deliver on Saraswati, Lakshmi automatically follows. So the the path to profit should go through purpose. And if a private player is able to deliver outcomes, they should be allowed to make money. If they don't deliver on the outcomes, they should be penalized. So it should be about not for profit or not for profit, it should be for performance.
Great. This is something very close to my heart. India wants to be a developed nation by 2047. As per Sumit, how do you see a typical Indian classroom by then?
In 2047, yeah, 2047 is far, but if I visualize, yeah, 22 years later, I think first the proportion of student voice versus teacher voice would be reverse of what it is today. Today, a teacher is talking for 40 minutes and students are listening, very often having zoned out. I want it to be reversed where students are participating and leading their learning. Teacher. Facilitated, yeah. So teacher designs the learning path, but the student actively walks on it. And then that will lead to really concept rich classrooms that will lead to students building skills that they are interested in, and that will build teach students who are not just good clerks and good followers. We want students who are future leaders of this world, but if they experience agency in their school, then they will deliver agency when they grow up as adults. So that's really my conception of the future of classroom, high agency classrooms. In fact, today morning, I was traveling from Pathankot to Amritsar, and along the bypass, I saw so many different schools, Doon International, DAB International, Guru Har Krishan Public School, and I was thinking, if we had to create the best school in each city in India, what would that school look like? And really, that school would have high agency classrooms. That school would have multiple pathways for students to pursue their interests, because if a child is able to discover their superpower in school, then nothing can hold them back. Today, schools force fit students into 2 or 3 boxes. We need schools where students are able to identify their superpower and then go behind it. So that is the future of schooling that we would want.
There's a section, rapid fire, rote learning or deep learning.
First, deep learning.
Why?
Rote learning is fragile. You come out of the exam, you've forgotten. Deep learning, you can apply in life.
True. Smart class, or like you always say, smart learning system.
Smart learning systems.
And reason also that, when you talk about smart learning system, and you have publicly mentioned it, there were a lot of engagement also. That what kind of learning system Sumit wants in every school of India?
I'll tell you why systems. My biggest insight in life is that no amount of inspiration, training, or discipline drives behavior. Systems drive behavior. I'll give an example. The same person who would spit on the road in Mumbai will go to Singapore and will not spit, because the system there is different. So systems drive behaviors. So if you want behaviors where it is high student agency and students are understanding and applying their learning, then you have to create a learning system which drives those behaviors. You can't just mandate it. You can't have high intent towards it. You can't do it. Yeah.
Textbooks or thinking toolkits?
Thinking toolkits which include textbooks. Because I don't think it's either or. Textbook is a subset of thinking toolkits.
Pre-boards or pre-assessments?
Pre-assessments followed by remedials. Without remedial, no assessment is worthwhile.
Okay, now quick question that if present education system were a building and you were assigned to rebuild this building, what is the first thing you would demolish?
I would change the air in the building. Because culture is what really runs through a system. We need to change I think the building is fine. School owners are well intentioned, teachers are working hard, students want to do well, parents are paying money. So the infrastructure, the plumbing is good. We need to change two things. One is the air, hawa badalni hai. Right? We need to change the culture. And second is we need to change the corridors and the staircases. And the reason I'm saying this is we have to change the path that the teacher and the students take to learning. वो change कर. I think if we change those two, education will change.
So, Sumit, before a final sign off, if you had 60 seconds to directly speak to the policymakers of education system, what would you say?
I would say give us a chance. We really, really want to make a difference in Indian education because we care. I'm a patriot. I love India. I want to transform India one school at a time. So give me 500 schools. Let me show the results. Allow us to make a difference at 2/3 the cost. We will deliver 2 times better outcomes. If we succeed, expand our model. And if we fail, penalize us.
Open offer.
Open offer.
Thank you so much, Sumit. It was great talking to you. I really enjoyed the discussion and I'm taking my learning outcomes, my takeaways, and which I'm going to share with the other school leaders in Jammu and Kashmir and Pan India, hopefully.
Thank you. This is a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much.